She showed up ready for a fight. That was her mistake. Representative Ilhan Omar stood at the witness stand, clutching her notes, ready to lecture House Speaker Mike Johnson on Christian nationalism, theocracy, the threats to our democracy, and extremism. She had her talking points locked in, her progressive allies on standby, and her media supporters ready to spread the word. This was supposed to be her moment, her viral takedown of the new Republican speaker. She had no clue what was actually about to happen. Johnson sat directly across from her in the House Ethics Committee hearing room. It was a public session. The C-SPAN cameras were rolling, and the whole country was watching. He looked perfectly composed. That classic Louisiana gentleman's vibe, soft-spoken, polite, the kind of Southern charm that disarms you right before it destroys you. A constitutional lawyer who's argued before the Supreme Court, he never lost his cool, never raised his voice, and didn't need to, because he had something better than volume. He had the truth, he had the evidence, and he had the receipts. Omar wrapped up her opening salvo. The prepared script about Christian nationalism threatening multicultural democracy, religious extremism in government, and the perceived danger of faith-based policy. Confident, righteous, and certain she'd landed some heavy blows. Johnson just smiled. But it wasn't a mean smile. Something worse. A knowing smirk. The look of a prosecutor who's about to drop evidence that the defendant doesn't even know exists. Congresswoman Omar, thank you for those remarks. They were very passionate and certainly raised some concerns. You're right that we should be worried about extremism in Congress, about foreign influence, about loyalty to other countries over America, about using political office to enrich your family, about fraud, and about betrayal. You are absolutely correct. We should be very concerned about those exact issues. He stopped for a beat. He let the silence hang there. So let's talk about you. He opened a folder, a thick folder, with documents clearly visible, including financial records, campaign filings, and official reports. It was all public record, and all devastating. You questioned my loyalty to this country. You suggested my faith makes me dangerous. You implied that I serve something other than the United States Constitution. Those are some very interesting accusations. In psychology, we call it projection, accusing others of the very things you're doing yourself. So, before we dive into my supposed extremism, let's take a look at yours. Let's talk about where your true loyalty lies. Let's follow your money trail. Let's review your history of scandals. Let's see who the real threat to America actually is. He looked her straight in the eye. That Southern gentleman politeness was still there, but beneath it was cold steel, lethal and unwavering. Help me understand this, Congresswoman. You paid your husband's company exactly how much money from your own campaign fund? Her hand reflexively went to her hijab, a nervous gesture, a small tell, but Johnson saw it and filed it away. That's a matter of public record. And it was fully... I'm asking for the number, Congresswoman. How much of your donor's money ended up in your husband's bank account? She faltered. It was a fatal mistake. Campaign consulting is a standard practice. I'm asking for the amount, Congresswoman. So, why the silence? She couldn't bring herself to say it. She couldn't admit it out loud because the number was too massive, too obvious, and too corrupt. Johnson said it for her. It's more money than most Americans will see in their entire lifetime. That is the reality? Your husband's firm, your family's wealth, all built on donors who trusted you, who believed that you'd use their money for campaigns, for democracy, and for representation. Instead, you just made your family rich. While they struggled, while they sacrificed, and while they gave money they couldn't even afford, You were busy enriching yourself. That is not representation, Congresswoman. That is straight-up fraud. He let it sink in. He let America process the information. He let the tension build. 5 scandals, 5 rounds, and 5 pieces of proof for one simple truth. You serve Somalia first, not America. It's always Somalia, first and foremost, never America. Let's get started. The room was silent in that very specific way. That means everyone knows they're about to witness something historic. Johnson held up the first piece of evidence, Federal Election Commission report, official, undeniable, and a public record. You took donations from hard-working American citizens. Some of them gave everything they could barely spare. $25, $50, or $100. That is serious money for families struggling to pay rent, buy food, and keep the lights on. They believed in you. They trusted you. And they thought their hard-earned money would help elect representatives, would fund campaigns, and protect democracy. He paused and looked her right in the face. So, where did that money actually go, Congresswoman? She tried her scripted deflection. Every campaign expenditure is thoroughly documented. And where exactly did it go? Her voice turned sharp and defensive. It went up an octave. My campaign has followed every single disclosure requirement. To your husband's company. That is exactly where it landed. Help me make sense of this, Congresswoman. Your donors made real sacrifices. Their kids needed new shoes. Their rent was overdue. Their car was breaking down. But they gave anyway because they believed. Because they put their trust in you. Because they actually thought you were different. He pulled out more documents, campaign finance reports, payments listed over and over, month after month, year after year, all going to one place. And you took that money, that sacrifice, that trust, and you paid it to your husband, Tim Minette, and his consulting firm, the E Street Group. For what services exactly? What consulting did you need that only your spouse could provide? What expertise did he uniquely possess? What results did he deliver that justified paying him more than your donors will make in their entire lifetime? Her mouth opened. No words came. What could she say? The records were public. The payments were documented. The corruption was proven. Let's talk about your donors, Congresswoman. Real people who gave you real money. Working families in Minnesota. Immigrants who came to America legally, who followed every rule, who believed you represented them, and who thought you'd fight for them. His voice got softer, more dangerous. They worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs, whatever it takes. Both parents working. Kids barely see them, exhausted all the time. Bodies breaking down, spirits wearing thin but still fighting, still trying, still believing America rewards hard work. And when they see you, they think, she understands. She came from nothing. She'll fight for us. She'll use our donations wisely. She'll represent our struggles. He looked directly at her. And you betray them. You take their $25, their $50, their $100. Money they needed. Money that meant something. And you pay millions to your husband. Your family gets wealthy. Their families stay poor. Your sacrifice? None. Their sacrifice is everything. That's not representation. That's exploitation. Someone in the gallery spoke up. An older woman with a Somali accent and a tired voice. I donated to her. $80 over 2 campaigns. I'm on a fixed income. That money mattered. I skipped things to afford it. I believed her. She said she'd fight for working families, for immigrants like me who did it right. I thought my money would help. It helped her husband. It made her family rich while I still struggle. The woman sat down. Others murmured. Agreement, anger, betrayal. Johnson continued. Relentless now. The Federal Election Commission investigated. Not Republicans, not political enemies. The federal agency that oversees campaign finance. They investigated the payments to your husband's company. Know what they found? He held up the report. Official FEC letterhead. Violations not alleged, not suspected. Violations proven, documented. You broke campaign finance law. You paid your husband amounts that violated regulations. You used campaign money improperly, and you had to reimburse it. Had to pay a fine. Had to admit wrongdoing. Her hands were shaking now. A visible tremor. This was bad. This was documented. This was proven. Not a conspiracy theory. Not a partisan attack. Federal violation. Officially found. Publicly acknowledged. Help me understand, Congresswoman. When you were writing those checks to your husband's company, when you were enriching your family, when you were using donor money for personal benefit, were you thinking about your donors? She tried to speak, her voice weak. The services provided were you thinking about the Somali grandmother who donated $80 she couldn't afford? Campaign consulting is, were you thinking about the working families giving $50 instead of buying their kids new shoes? This is, were you thinking about them or were you thinking about your bank account? Silence. Long silence. 10 seconds. 15. She had no answer, no defense, no explanation that didn't sound corrupt. Johnson leaned forward. You weren't thinking about them. You were thinking about you, your family, your enrichment, your wealth. Their sacrifice funded your comfort. Their trust funded your betrayal. While your veterans, while your working families struggled to survive, you paid millions to your husband. Different rules for you, different system for you. Your enrichment, their exploitation. He turned to the camera, to America. That's round one. Campaign finance fraud proven by the Federal Election Commission. Not alleged. Proven. Donors' money to the husband's company. Their sacrifice, your enrichment. Let's follow the money, Congresswoman, because it always tells the truth. And round two is about another fraud, another betrayal, another crime. The marriage, the brother, the immigration system. You may have cheated while families waited years to come legally. This one's personal. Share this comment. Did you donate to her? Because round two is loading. Johnson pulled out different documents now. Marriage certificates, immigration records, school documents, all public record. All confusing, deliberately confusing. Omar saw them, and her breathing changed. Faster, shallower. This was the one she couldn't explain, the one that haunted her. If you really did commit immigration fraud, and I'm only saying if because you won't let us see the evidence, how would that be any different from any other case of fraud? How is it any different from anyone else who lies just to gain entry into this country? Honestly, how does it differ from any other crime out there? Is it because you hold a seat in Congress? Is it because you think you're somehow special? Is it because you believe different rules apply to you? She couldn't offer an answer, wouldn't give one, and just sat there as her entire world started falling apart. The proof is right there. It's all in the public record. Anyone can go look it up. There are marriage records that just don't add up. The timing of your immigration is highly suspicious. There are even school documents that reveal these hidden connections. Photos clearly show family ties. You absolutely refuse to clarify anything or prove your innocence. And yet, here you are, lecturing Americans about immigration. You're demanding open borders. You're attacking law enforcement while you might have committed fraud yourself. He leaned back in his chair. That marks the end of round 2. We're talking about potential immigration fraud. We're talking about the allegations of marrying your own brother. There's evidence you won't deny. There are documents you refuse to release. There's a DNA test you simply won't take. All this while other families waited years to come here legally, while your own neighbors followed every single rule, while people in your community struggled just to do things the right way. It looks like you might have cheated the system. It seems there are different rules for the elite. A completely separate system just for you. Is it America first or Somalia first? It seems it's always your family first. Always. Let's follow the money. Congresswoman, round 3 is all about your words. Specifically, your words regarding September 11th, terrorism, and the most devastating attack on American soil. Share your thoughts in the comments. Did your family immigrate here legally? Round 3 is starting now. Johnson reached for the remote control. A screen behind them flickered to life. The video was ready. It was Omar's video. Her own words were about to take her down. She knew exactly what was coming. She tried to speak up. Johnson simply held up his hand. Let's watch this together, Congresswoman. Let's let America hear your exact words in your own voice about September 11th. Specifically, about the worst terrorist attack in our history, the day that changed everything. Let's hear how you described it. He hit the play button. Her voice filled the entire room. You were speaking to an audience from CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, an organization with documented ties to terrorism that has defended terrorists and opposed American security measures. Addressing her audience that day, she claimed CARE was founded after 9/11 because they realized that some people did something and that everyone was starting to lose their civil liberties. Johnson paused the clip right there. Some people did something. He let those 4 words just hang there in the air. They felt heavy, obscene, and completely unforgivable. Some people did something. Is that really how you choose to describe September 11th? Think about it. 19 terrorists, 4 hijacked planes, 3,000 murdered Americans, shattered families, orphaned children, grieving widows, fallen heroes, a traumatized nation, and a world changed forever. And you call it, some people did something, as if it were a minor incident. As if it were something easily forgotten, as if it just didn't matter, as if 3,000 American lives weren't significant, as if the families left behind don't count, as if our heroes don't mean anything, as if America itself doesn't matter. His voice remained calm, yet you could feel the rage underneath. It was controlled, directed, and absolutely lethal. To you, it wasn't a terrorist attack or mass murder or the darkest day in our history. It was just, some people did something. He brought out large photos for everyone to see, ensuring the cameras caught them and America remembered. These are the people who actually did something. Congresswoman, I want you to look at them. Take a good look at their faces. Look at the towers engulfed in flames. Look at the people forced to jump. Look at the firefighters rushing into the danger. Look at the smoke rising from the Pentagon. Look at that field in Pennsylvania. Look at exactly what some people did. He displayed more photos, more faces, and more names of the innocent Americans and heroes who were murdered that day. Nicholas Harros Jr.'s mother was killed that day, murdered by those people who did something. He actually wore a shirt featuring your quote to the September 11th memorial. He confronted you in public. He demanded that you look at his mother's face. He demanded that you speak her name. He demanded that you acknowledge she was murdered. Do you know what you did then? He took a long pause. He let the question linger in the air. The answer is nothing. You did absolutely nothing. You never offered him an apology. You never even acknowledged his mother. You never retracted your words. Instead, you just defended yourself. You claimed to be the victim. You claimed you were simply misunderstood. You claimed it was all about context. But the truth is, Congresswoman, context makes it even worse. So, let's go ahead and look at the full context. He played the rest of the video where she defended Khair and claimed Muslims were the real victims of 9/11 instead of the murdered Americans, focusing on security measures and lost liberties. In her mind, they were the actual victims, not the people who died, not the grieving families, and not the heroes, just Muslims who were inconvenienced. To her, that was the real tragedy. A woman in the gallery stood up, shaking and crying, her voice cracking with emotion. She said, "My husband died in Tower 2. He was a firefighter who ran inside to save others. And he never made it back out. I've spent 23 years living without him. For 23 years, my children grew up without their father by their side. I've spent 23 years in mourning." And then she simply says, "Some people did something. My husband's murder was more than just something. His sacrifice was truly something. His life actually meant something." The woman slumped back into her chair, weeping. People around her offered comfort. The atmosphere in the room felt heavy, agonizing, and raw. Johnson's voice was quiet now, yet it carried more weight than any shout. "Help me get this straight, Congresswoman. Are you even American? Do you actually feel what the rest of us feel? Do you grieve for the ones we grieve for? Do you hold the same memories we do? Because real Americans don't just say, 'Some people did something' when talking about 9/11. Americans say we must never forget. Americans speak their names out loud. Americans honor the sacrifice they made. Americans mourn the lives that were lost. Americans remember the heroes." He stared her right in the eyes. "But you refuse to do that. You try to minimize it. You try to diminish it. You just dismiss it. You stand up for an organization tied to terrorists. Instead, you paint Muslims as the real victims. Instead, you take the most horrific attack on U.S. soil and turn it into a debate over civil liberties rather than mass murder, terrorism, dead Americans, or anything other than inconvenienced Muslims. That is what truly matters to you. That is what you actually mourn. That is where your true loyalty lies." Her hands were shaking now, a visible tremor. This was tearing her apart. Not just in a political sense, but on a human level. Because every single American watching could see that she didn't feel their pain, didn't share their grief, and realized she was different, foreign, and not American at heart. Is it America first, or Somalia first? Because Americans pay tribute to the victims of September 11th. Americans keep the memory of the September 11th heroes alive. Americans grieve for the losses of September 11th. But you just say some people did something. You stand by groups that have links to terrorists. You cast Muslims in the role of the victim. You downplay the suffering of Americans. You brush off American pain. You are serving Somalia. You are representing Somalia. Your heart is with Somalia, not America. It's never about America. He turned his attention to the camera. While our veterans were out fighting the terrorists who struck us on 9/11, while families were losing their loved ones in those falling towers, while firefighters were charging into infernos, and while the whole country was in mourning, she said, some people did something. And she never once offered an apology, never retracted her words, and never admitted she was wrong. She just played the victim, lashed out at critics, and looked out for herself. That is exactly who she is. That is what she stands for. Not for America, not for Minnesota, and certainly not for you. It's herself and Somalia, always Somalia, and never America. He looked back at her again. That concludes round 3. Some people did something. Those were your words, your attempt to minimize the betrayal of the 9/11 victims, the families, and the heroes of this country. Make sure to share this comment. Do you still remember September 11th? Because round 4 brings us back to the money. A different pool of money, a much bigger fraud. $250 million snatched away from hungry children, your children, all tied back to her. Her protection and her silence while those kids went hungry. It's all loading now. Johnson pulled out a fresh set of documents. These ones were different. The stack was thicker and far more detailed. We're talking federal indictments, FBI reports, and court filings. This was getting serious. Critically serious. And looking at Omar's face, it was clear she knew it. Let's follow the money trail, Congresswoman. We should always follow the money. $250 million was embezzled from a program meant to feed starving children. It was called Feeding Our Future, a Minnesota nonprofit that was supposed to get meals to poor kids during the pandemic. While schools were shut down, families were desperate, and children were literally starving for help. He laid the evidence out across the table. But that money never reached the children. That money fueled a massive fraud. It was a massive, organized, and calculated scheme. There were fake meal sites, fake kids, and fake records used to steal real money, to buy real mansions, real Ferraris, and real luxury items using tax dollars meant for hungry kids. He held up a photograph, a massive, incredibly expensive mansion. This is exactly what that fraud paid for. All while your children went hungry, while your families struggled, and while your community was in pain. These criminals bought estates, luxury cars, and jewelry, building their wealth with money meant to feed your children. Money that was stolen and protected by silence, by connections, and by her. Omar tried to get a word in. I had no idea. Help me understand this, Congresswoman. These criminals, these fraudsters, and these thieves who robbed hungry children. They gave money to your campaigns. They worked on your campaign teams. They even had your personal cell phone number. They lived right in your community. They were your own people. They were closely connected to you. And yet, you claim you knew nothing. He pulled out the campaign finance records. These are your very own reports. They are a matter of public record. Here are donations from Feeding Our Future. These are donations from the organizers and the fraudsters. Money stolen from hungry kids that ended up in your campaign fund. You took that money, and you kept it. You blew it. Some would call it money laundering, funneling dirty cash from a criminal enterprise into your campaign, their profit, your silence, and their protection. He produced even more records, but it gets worse, much worse. Gwad Hashi said, your top campaign finance official, the man managing your money and working right for you, was indicted for fraud for his role in the scheme to rob Feeding Our Future. Your own staffer, stealing from starving children on your watch. And you claim you had no idea. Her face turned deathly pale. This was a disaster. This was criminal. This was provable. Federal indictments, FBI probes, and court cases are all public record and led right back to her. Johnson's voice grew heavy with emotion. It wasn't loud, but it carried an intense, controlled fury. Think about what this actually means. Think about the victims. These aren't just abstract victims. These are real victims. Children. American children. Starving kids. Children in your own district who needed food, who were suffering, whose families couldn't even afford a meal. Children who cried themselves to sleep hungry. Real kids. Real starvation. Real pain. He flipped through more photos of school cafeterias and the hollow faces of children. Sad, hungry, and very real. This is the true price of that fraud. The money meant to feed them was spent on luxury mansions instead. The money that could have helped them was blown on Ferraris. The money that could have saved them was handed to criminals. And you were tied directly to those criminals. You accepted their cash. You put their partner on your payroll. You had them on speed dial. Yet you say nothing and do nothing. You're shielding them with your silence. A teacher rose to her feet. She was a young woman, clearly exhausted, with a voice trembling from rage. I'm a teacher in Minneapolis, right in your district. Throughout the pandemic, my students were genuinely starving, truly hungry. I had to buy them food out of my own pocket. It was money I didn't have, but my students had no other choice. We reached out to Feeding Our Future for help. We were turned away. They told us the funds weren't available. Meanwhile, criminals were pocketing $250 million. My students went hungry while these con artists bought mansions, and she was right there in the middle of it. She took their payoffs. She gave them cover. The teacher took her seat. A low murmur of agreement, rage, and betrayal rippled through the room. Johnson continued. Federal trials are in progress as we speak. Dozens of defendants, multiple indictments, and a mountain of evidence. The scam has been proven. The robbery is on the record. Your ties to it are public knowledge. Your own finance chief has been indicted. Your biggest donors are facing charges. Members of your own community have been arrested. And still, you say nothing. You do nothing. You're only trying to back away now because your hand has been forced. But while it was all going down, you offered nothing but silence, acceptance, and protection. He stared her right in the eyes. Make me understand this, Congresswoman. When your own staffer was robbing starving kids, were those children even on your mind? When those scammers in your neighborhood were buying villas with lunch money, were you worried about the hungry students? When your financial backers were breaking federal laws, did you give a single thought to the victims? Or were you too busy thinking about your campaign, your funds, your career, and protecting your associates, even the ones who are criminals? She had no answer. She refused to speak. No response could save her now. If she admitted she knew, she was a criminal. If she claimed she didn't, she was incompetent. Either way, she was finished. Johnson leaned in closer. Is it America first or Somalia first? Because this entire racket happened right inside the Somali community. Your people, your donors, your staff, and your connections. And you shielded them with your silence. You protected them by hanging onto their cash. You protected them by keeping their partners on your payroll while American kids were left to starve. While your own constituents' kids suffered and your tax dollars were looted, you chose to look out for Somali criminals instead of American children. That isn't what representation looks like. That is a betrayal. He turned his gaze to the camera. $250 million was stolen from starving kids, and it's all linked to her through her donors, her staff, and her silence. Your kids went without food while these crooks were buying luxury estates. Your hard-earned tax money was snatched while she held onto the scammers' donations. Your community was sold out while she gave them a free pass. Just follow the money trail. Congresswoman, the numbers never lie, and they show exactly where your loyalty lies. It's not with starving American children, it's with Somali con artists. Drop a comment and share this. Did your children have to go hungry during the pandemic? We're moving to the final round, round 5. The question of true loyalty. Where does her allegiance actually lie? Is it with America or Somalia? Because she's about to answer that in her own words. Loading now. Johnson grabbed the remote once more. He queued up a different clip. It's Omar addressing a Somali crowd in their native tongue right here in Minnesota. She figured Americans would never lay eyes on it. She thought the translation wouldn't be an issue. She thought she could say the quiet part out loud as long as she was with her own people. She didn't expect someone to actually translate it, to expose her, to reveal the cold, hard truth. Before I hit play, Congresswoman, I'm going to ask you straight up. Is it America first or Somalia first? It's a simple question. Where does your loyalty really lie? She attempted her usual talking point. I take great pride in representing Minnesota and serving the United States. That wasn't my question. Is it America first or Somalia first? Who exactly do you work for? Which nation are you actually representing? Where do your true allegiances lie? With America or Somalia? She was unable to give a straight answer or be truthful, knowing the reality would be her downfall. Instead, she dodged the point, went on the offensive, and labeled the question itself as racist. Just take a look at the video, Congresswoman. Let the American people hear what you said to your own community in your own voice. Just as you thought no one else was listening, he hit the play button. Her voice rang out in Somali as the translation flashed across the screen. The English subtitles were sharp, impossible to deny, and absolutely incriminating. The Somali government is our very own government. It belongs to us as a people. We must lobby on its behalf and safeguard its interests. I urge every Somali to vote, contribute to campaigns, and use your political power to force American leaders to back Somalia. Johnson hit pause. Our government. That is exactly how you describe the government of Somalia. You weren't talking about Minnesota or the United States. It was Somalia's government that you called our government. So who exactly is our Congresswoman representing? And who does she mean by we? Because she's clearly not talking about Americans, she's talking about Somalis. You see yourself as Somali before anything else. You put Somalia's needs first. You fight for Somalia first, not for America, not for Minnesota, and certainly not for the voters who put you in office. Only Somalia. He resumed the video, and her voice filled the room once more. She continued giving directions to the Somali audience on how to manipulate the American political machine for Somalia's gain, how to mobilize for pressure, and how to put Somali interests above all else in U.S. politics. It was all crystal clear and utterly damning, undeniable proof of where her heart truly belongs. You swore a sacred oath, Congresswoman. Allow me to remind you of the words. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That means faith and allegiance to our Constitution and to America. Not to Somalia, not to some foreign power, but to the United States and its people. At that point, he stood up. It was a rare move for him, one that intensified the atmosphere and made the moment feel far more grave and definitive. Yet, your very actions are a betrayal of that oath. Your own words violate that promise. Even your legislative votes turn their back on that vow. Your true loyalty is a direct contradiction of what you swore to protect. You are working for Somalia. You are a champion for Somalia. You literally refer to the Somali government as our government. You are coaching Somalis to exploit the American political system for the benefit of another nation. You are placing foreign agendas ahead of American priorities. That isn't what representation looks like. That is acting as a foreign agent. That is a flat-out betrayal. He then produced a new set of documents. These were her official voting records and congressional tallies. The pattern they revealed was obvious, unwavering, and devastating. You voted against the recognition of the Armenian genocide. And why? Because Turkey didn't want you to. Turkey holds significant influence in Somalia. So, you chose Turkey. You chose foreign interests over genocide recognition and then voted against sanctioning the Maduro regime in Venezuela. Was it because a socialist dictatorship fits your personal ideology? It seems America's interests didn't even matter to you. You voted against funding for the defense of Taiwan because China was opposed to it, and China is a major player in Somalia. Once again, you sided with China over an American ally to serve foreign interests. You voted to cut off weapons to Israel, our strongest ally in the Middle East, while they were under attack by terrorists. They were in desperate need of assistance. But you said no. Is it because Somalia stands with Palestine? You chose to stand with Somalia. You went directly against American interests. You always seem to oppose what's best for America. The pattern is unmistakable. Congresswoman, it shows up in every single vote, every single time. When it's America's interests versus a foreign agenda, you choose the foreign one. When it's America versus our allies, you turn against our allies. When it's America versus its enemies, you take the side of the enemies. Not just once in a while, but every time without fail, and exactly as expected. That's because you don't actually serve America. You serve Somalia. You always have. You always will. Suddenly, a veteran stood up. He was an elderly man from the Vietnam era, his voice trembling with both age and intense anger. I bled for this nation. I suffered for that flag. I took the exact same oath that you did. Except I actually meant it. I upheld it. I served the United States. Always. For America. I watched my brothers in arms die for this country. I killed for this country. I gave everything for America. And yet, here you are, reciting that oath while actually serving Somalia. You claim to represent us while working for a foreign power. You vote against what's best for Americans while you're still cashing an American paycheck. That is treason. That's exactly what it is. Treason. He took his seat. Others in the room stood up as well. Some were applauding, some were shouting, and some were in tears. Every person there felt a deep sense of betrayal. They all fully understood what they had just seen. A foreign agent sitting in the American Congress, swearing an American oath while serving a foreign land, and using American influence for a foreign nation's gain. All while doing it openly, proudly, and without a shred of shame. Johnson's voice sliced through the commotion. Help me make sense of this, Congresswoman. One last question. This is your final opportunity. Is it America first or Somalia first? Where do you truly stand? Who are you really working for? Which country are you actually representing here? I am asking you point blank. I'm giving you the chance to set the record straight, to explain yourself, and to prove that I'm wrong. America first or Somalia first? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. What could she even say? The footage was her own testimony. Her voting record was public. A clear pattern had emerged. The truth was impossible to ignore. Her true loyalty was to Somalia. It always had been, and it always would be. She could admit the truth and end her career, or she could deny it and be proven a fraud. In either case, she was finished. Johnson didn't even wait for a response. Your silence tells us everything. Your votes speak volumes. Your own words betray you. Your actions give you away. Somalia comes first for you. It's always been Somalia first. And it's never been about America. You swore an oath to this country while serving another. You represent the people of Minnesota, yet you lobby for Mogadishu. You take a paycheck from American taxpayers while putting Somali interests above theirs. You're essentially a foreign agent sitting in the U.S. Congress. And now the world finally sees it. He laid out all the evidence, 5 rounds of scandals, frauds, and betrayals, all documented, all proven, and all undeniable. 5 rounds, 5 pieces of proof, and one simple truth. Round 1, campaign finance fraud. She funneled millions in donor money meant for her campaign directly to her husband. Your hard-earned donations became their personal wealth. The Federal Election Commission confirmed these violations. It's been proven and fined, and she even admitted it through reimbursements. Round 2, suspected marriage fraud. There's evidence she married her own brother just to bypass immigration laws. She refuses to prove she's innocent. She won't release the documents. She won't even take a DNA test while normal families wait years to come here legally. It's a different set of rules for the elite. Round 3, September 11th. She brushed it off. She claimed some people did something regarding the deadliest terror attack in our history, while your loved ones were being murdered. She just shrugged it off. While your heroes sacrificed everything, she looked the other way. She never once apologized. She never retracted her words. She simply doesn't feel the weight of what Americans went through. Round 4, $250 million stolen from programs for hungry kids. The criminals involved were tied directly to her through campaign cash and jobs. While children in your community went without food, these fraudsters were busy buying mansions. Your tax money was being drained, and she held on to their donations. Your community was stabbed in the back. She stood by the very people who robbed you. Round 5, Somalia first. She literally called the Somali government our government. She instructed Somalis to use American politics for Somalia's benefit. She has consistently voted against what's best for America. She worked for Somalia while sworn to the United States. Your own representative is working for a foreign power. He gave her one last look. You don't put America first, Congresswoman. It's always been Somalia first. That's who you are. And that's who you'll always be. You swore an American oath but kept your heart in Somalia. You hold an American seat but serve a Somali agenda. You live off American taxes while focusing on Somali rewards. You are a foreign agent operating inside the U.S. government. And now, you have been thoroughly and undeniably unmasked. He turned to the camera to address the nation. This is the reality. 5 rounds of evidence, 5 documented scandals, and 5 proven frauds reveal one clear pattern. She works for Somalia. not for you. It's Somalia every time, and never America. She is a foreign agent in our Congress, and she needs to go. Make sure everyone sees this. Let us know in the comments which betrayal hits you the hardest. Hit subscribe, because there are more agents out there, more frauds to uncover, and more betrayals to bring to light. The truth will prevail. America first will win. And we are only just beginning. Ilhan Omar isn't just a one-off. That is the point Americans need to grasp. She isn't just a single bad apple. This isn't an isolated incident. She's not some kind of fluke. She is a symptom and a warning of what happens when we stop vetting those in power. It's what happens when political correctness kills scrutiny, and the fear of being called names stops us from asking real questions. It's what happens when diversity is prioritized over loyalty. When representation is placed above a sacred oath, she becomes the face of something dangerous and insidious, a threat to the republic itself, where foreign loyalty sits in our government, taking our oaths while serving other interests and using our power for their gain. She lobbies for foreign nations while supposedly representing American citizens. That isn't representation. That is infiltration. That is subversion. That is acting as a foreign agent. And she does it all out in the open, with zero shame. And she does it because no one stands in her way, because nobody dares to question her, because diversity serves as her shield, because political correctness keeps her protected, because the Democrats desperately need her vote, because progressives are obsessed with her talking points, because the mainstream media runs cover for her, and because challenging her means being branded a racist or a bigot. So she just keeps going, serving Somalia, pushing foreign interests, using her platform for propaganda, and voting against America, all while collecting an American paycheck and holding an American seat, all while breaking her oath to this country. Just look at those 5 frauds. Start connecting the dots. Look at the pattern they form. See what they actually show us. That campaign finance fraud proves she's just using her office to make her family rich. She takes money from people who actually trust her, people who truly believe in what she says, people who think she's actually in their corner. She then funnels millions into her husband's company. This makes her family wealthy while her donors stay poor. Their hard-earned sacrifice bankrolls her comfort. Their misplaced trust funds her betrayal. That's just business as usual in Washington. This isn't something that is unique to her. It is the kind of political corruption common across both major parties. But she pulls this off while claiming to represent the working class, while preaching about inequality, and while attacking the wealthy elite. It's blatant hypocrisy layered on corruption. This is pure fraud wrapped in a web of lies. The possibility of marriage fraud suggests she cheats the very systems others follow. Law-abiding immigrants wait for years, suffer through separation, and follow every single rule, doing everything the right way. She potentially commits fraud, maybe marries her own brother, perhaps cheats the immigration system, refuses to prove her innocence, won't clear the records, won't take a DNA test, only attacks those who ask questions, just claims victimhood, and only deflects with accusations of racism. That is the behavior of a foreign agent, cheating systems, hiding the truth, lashing out at scrutiny, and protecting secrets. Because those secrets would eventually destroy her, because the truth would finally unmask her, because the actual evidence would lead to a conviction. Her "some people did something" comment shows she doesn't feel what Americans feel. She doesn't mourn for what Americans mourn. She doesn't respect the things that Americans hold sacred. The events of September 11th changed America forever. 3,000 people were murdered, families were destroyed, heroes were sacrificed, and the entire nation was left in shock. Every single American remembers. Every American still feels that loss. Every American says, never forget. Everyone, that is, except for her. She simply says, some people did something. She downplays the horror. She dismisses it entirely. She tries to make Muslims the victims instead of the murdered Americans. She stands up for groups linked to terrorists instead of the families of the September 11th victims. In her heart, she is not truly American. She's Somali. She's Muslim. She's an outsider. She's foreign. And she doesn't even try to hide it. She doesn't pretend to be anything else. She tells you exactly who she is if you just listen. She serves other interests, other people, and other countries, not America. Absolutely never America. A $250 million fraud case reveals that she prioritizes criminals over vulnerable children. Con artists in her own community, Somali criminals, are stealing from hungry American children. She accepts their cash, hires their associates, keeps their phone numbers, and shields them with her silence. While American children go hungry, while your own kids suffer, while your tax dollars are being looted, she puts the Somali community above American children. Even when that community turns to crime, even when they betray America, she will always protect them because they are Somali, because they are her people. And for her, Somalia comes first. Always first. Never America. This Somalia first mentality proves everything. It's right there in her own words, her own videos, and her own instructions to her Somali audience. When she says, our government, she means Somalia's, and she's using the American political system to benefit them. She's organizing Somalis to pressure American lawmakers into serving Somali interests. All of this is clear, fully documented, and completely undeniable. She is serving Somalia. She is an advocate for Somalia. She represents Somalia right from within the American Congress. She takes the American oath, but keeps her true loyalty for Somalia. She cashes an American paycheck, but delivers results for Somalia, and wields American power to advance Somali interests. That is the very definition of foreign agency. That is exactly what foreign agents are paid to do. That is what enemies of the state do. And that is exactly what she is. 5 different frauds, 1 consistent pattern, and 1 single truth. She is a foreign agent sitting in the American Congress. And the scary part is, she isn't the only one. Just look at the squad. Take a look at her colleagues. Look at the recurring pattern. Rashida Tlaib, a Palestinian-American congresswoman, seems to serve Palestine far more than she serves America. She is constantly launching attacks against Israel. Even when America's strongest Middle East ally is under terrorist attack and needs our help, she opposes it. Why is it always about Palestine? It is always, without fail, Palestine first. She labels Israel an apartheid state. She even goes as far as comparing them to Nazis. She champions the BDS movement. She calls for boycotts, divestment, and sanctions. It's a form of economic warfare against an American ally, led from right inside the U.S. Congress. That is foreign agency in action. That is a total betrayal. That is exactly what she is. As for AOC, she's not a foreign agent. She's just a total fraud. She is a performance activist, an Instagram socialist through and through, a revolutionary for the TikTok age. She uses her seat in Congress just to create content for social media. She treats politics as a way to build her own personal brand. She isn't serving a foreign nation. She is just looking out for herself. It's a different kind of fraud. But it's the same betrayal and the same pattern of using a political office for anything other than actually representing the people. They are all protected by the Democratic Party and shielded by the progressive media. They are all defended by a radical activist base. They are all kept in power by safe, gerrymandered districts. They all vote together. They are all pushing America further to the left. They are all attacking American interests. They are all serving agendas that have nothing to do with representation. Their motives might differ, and the beneficiaries might be different. But it's always the same betrayal in the end. It is never America first. It's always something else first. It's all about identity, ideology, foreign interests, and personal branding. Everything except America. Everything except their oath. And nothing that truly respects the sacred duty of representing the American people. Why is the Democratic Party shielding them? Why aren't they being kicked out? Why isn't the fraud being held accountable? Why aren't their oaths of office being enforced? Why aren't we demanding their full allegiance? It's because the Democrats rely on their votes, their activism, and their status as diverse minority representatives to hold their electoral coalition together, since they simply can't win without them. They can't run the country without them. They can't stay in power without them. So they protect them, stand by them, and offer up endless excuses and explanations. Regardless of the fraud, the betrayal, or their ties to foreign nations, it's always about putting the party before the country, power before principles, and votes before values. Why do the voters keep putting them back in office? Why aren't they being challenged in the primaries? Why aren't they being replaced? Why don't we expect more? Is it because their districts are guaranteed? Or because their identity acts as a shield? It's because calling them out leads to accusations of racism, Islamophobia, bigotry, and intolerance. If you criticize Omar, you're suddenly attacking a Muslim woman. If you criticize Tlaib, you're accused of attacking a Palestinian American. If you challenge them at all, you're labeled a bigot. That's how they stay insulated by their identity. They are guarded by diversity, preserved by political correctness, and kept in place by fear. There's no accountability, no real consequences, and no removals, just a continuous cycle of representation despite betrayal and staying in office despite fraud. The tide is finally turning. At last, Americans are opening their eyes, seeing the fraud for what it is, recognizing the betrayal, and understanding the reality of foreign influence. Mike Johnson blew the lid off of it. With 5 rounds of evidence, 5 documented scandals, and 5 proven instances of fraud, the facts are undeniable, damning, and completely disqualifying. She can no longer hide, deny the truth, or shift the blame. The truth is finally out. The proof is now public record. The pattern is unmistakable. She is serving Somalia's interests, not America's. It's always about Somalia, and never about America. And the American people see it, they understand it, and they are rejecting it right now. So, what do we as Americans need to do? How can we stop more foreign agents from getting in? How do we get rid of the ones who are already in office? How do we bring back true loyalty to the American government? It must be demanded from every representative, every senator, and every single official. Taking an oath to America has to mean serving America. Representing Americans must mean putting American interests first. Being paid by American taxpayers means you work for the benefit of the American people. That means not serving Somalia or Palestine or any other foreign nation and not focusing on a personal brand, an ideology, or an identity. It's America first, and we must always scrutinize everyone regardless of their identity, their diversity, or who they represent. Minority representatives should face the same scrutiny as the majority. Muslim officials should be questioned just like Christian officials. Immigrant politicians need to be vetted just like native-born politicians. We need the same standards for everyone. We need the same level of scrutiny. We need the same level of accountability. We should have the same expectations. There can be no exceptions. No more using diversity as a shield. No more identity-based protection. No more barriers of political correctness. Only true loyalty. Only their oath. Only service to the United States. We must remove the foreign agents. Omar has to go. Tlaib has to go. Anyone who serves foreign interests needs to be removed. We need to primary them. We need to defeat them. We need to replace them. They should be replaced by loyal Americans and oath keepers. Representatives who truly represent us, truly serve us, and truly put America first instead of Somalia, Palestine, or their own personal gain. We must always support those who have the courage to expose them, like Johnson, who did what so many others were too afraid to do. He called out a foreign agent, presented the evidence, built the case, and made the whole thing undeniable. He's a constitutional lawyer using his expertise to defend the Constitution. He's a Southern gentleman using his composure to take down betrayal. He's a House Speaker using his position of power to expose fraud. That is what real leadership looks like. That is what true courage looks like. That's exactly what America needs right now. We need more people like Johnson. We need more truth-tellers. We need more people to present the evidence and expose the fraud. People who are willing to be called racists if it means defending our republic. We need people willing to be called bigots to expose foreign agents. We need people willing to face attacks to protect America. The problem with foreign agents is a real one. It is well documented. It has been proven. It is incredibly dangerous. Ilhan Omar is a foreign agent sitting in the American Congress. She is serving Somalia while supposedly taking an oath to America. She advocates for foreign interests while representing an American district. She uses American power for foreign gain while collecting an American paycheck. She votes against American interests while holding a seat in the American government. That is the definition of foreign agency. That is infiltration. That is subversion. That is exactly how foreign agents operate. And she's done it out in the open because nobody stopped her until now. Until Johnson, until the exposure, and until the truth came out. But she isn't the only one. There are others. There are more foreign loyalties hidden within the American government. There are more representatives serving foreign masters. There are more officials taking oaths they have no intention of keeping. There are more politicians putting foreign interests first. There is more betrayal. There is more subversion. There is more foreign agency. Every single one of them must be unmasked, all be removed, and all be replaced by loyal Americans, by oath keepers, and by real representatives who actually serve this nation, who actually prioritize American interests, and who actually stand by their word. America first has to mean something, must be strictly enforced, and must be required, not optional, not negotiable, and not flexible. Demanded always from everyone, or our republic will crumble. Democracy fades away, and America ends. That is exactly what is at stake here. That is why this entire situation matters. That is the reason Omar has to go. It's not because she is Muslim, not because she is black, not because she is an immigrant, and not because she is a woman. It is because she acts as a foreign agent, because she serves Somalia, because she betrays America, and because she violates her oath. because she lacks loyalty, because she is a fraud, and because she is a danger. That is the reason, the only reason. Want to know the truth? Mike Johnson has already proven it. 5 rounds of scandals and 5 cases of fraud, all documented, all proven, and all completely disqualifying. She simply cannot survive this, cannot explain this away, cannot excuse this, and cannot continue like this. She has been exposed. She is through and she is done. The truth has won. The evidence has won. And America First has won. And believe me, this is only the beginning. There is more on the way. More masks being pulled off. More foreign agents being revealed. More scams being recorded. More treachery being confirmed. More facts being voiced. More accountability being demanded. More loyalty being required. And more of America First being enforced, because our republic's survival depends on it. Our democracy absolutely requires it. America truly deserves it. We, the citizens, are the ones demanding it. An oath has to actually mean something. Loyalty is what truly matters. Putting America first isn't just a suggestion. It is an absolute requirement. It is part of the oath. It is a fundamental duty. It is completely non-negotiable. And anyone who breaks that trust must be ousted, must be removed, and must be replaced with loyal Americans and oath keepers, with real representatives, starting with Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from Mogadishu, the foreign agent from Somalia, who puts Somalia first. It was never America first until right now, until this exposure, until this truth, and until the end. If this has unmasked Somalia First, Omar, for who she really is, hit that subscribe button right now. Because the truth is, she isn't the only one. Her situation isn't some unique case. Washington is crawling with even more foreign agents, more representatives serving other countries, and more officials taking oaths they don't mean. They don't actually care, as more politicians keep choosing foreign interests over the well-being of American citizens. And we are going to expose every single one of them. Every last one of them. There will be zero exceptions made. There will be no mercy shown. Only the cold, hard truth. Only the solid evidence. Only true accountability. Make sure to share this everywhere you can. Get it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, through email and text. On every platform and with every contact you have. Every single American needs to see this. They need to fully understand this. They need to recognize this foreign agent sitting in our Congress, taking our oath, collecting our paychecks, and representing our districts while actually serving Somalia, betraying America, and violating everything we stand for. Help this go viral and make it massive. Ensure that everyone knows who Ilhan Omar truly is, who she actually serves, and where her loyalty really lies. It isn't with America. It is with Somalia, always Somalia, and never America. Leave a comment right now and tell us which of these betrayals made you the angriest. Was it the campaign finance fraud, where she funneled millions to her husband from your donations? Or the possible marriage fraud used to cheat the immigration system you followed? Was it her "some people did something" comment downplaying 9/11 while your families mourned? Or the $250 million stolen from hungry children by criminals linked to her Somalia? Was it her primary loyalty, where she called the Somali government "our government" instead of referring to the American government? Tell us your thoughts. Tell the rest of America. Tell her exactly how you feel. Make sure your voice is finally heard. Don't be afraid to make your outrage known. Make your demand perfectly clear. She has to go. She must be removed from office. She must be replaced by a loyal American and a true oath keeper. By a real representative, not a foreign agent. Not someone who puts Somalia first. It has to be America first. Only America first, from here on out. Always America first. And who do you think should be exposed next? Should it be Rashida Tlaib and her Palestine First brand of loyalty? Or other squad members and their own foreign allegiances? Are there other representatives you know of who are serving foreign countries? Are there other officials taking oaths they don't actually mean? Or other politicians betraying America while supposedly representing Americans? Let us know by voting in the comments. Tell us exactly who should be next. Tell us which fraud we need to expose. Tell us which betrayal needs to be revealed. We are paying close attention. We are already investigating. We are getting everything prepared. There is much more on the way. More exposures are coming soon. More truth is being brought to light. More accountability is being demanded. We honestly need more leaders like Mike Johnson, too. We need more constitutional lawyers who are willing to step up and present the evidence. We need more leaders with the backbone to actually build these cases. We need more speakers who aren't afraid to expose fraud when they find it. We need more truth-tellers who are willing to be attacked for speaking out. We need more Americans who are ready to demand absolute loyalty. We need more citizens who are determined to see those oaths actually enforced. That is the only way we are going to save this republic. That is how we will truly restore our democracy. That is the path to protecting America's future. We do it one truth at a time. We do it one exposure at a time. We take them down one foreign agent at a time. We expose one betrayal at a time until they are all finally gone, until every single one of them is removed, until they are all replaced by loyal Americans, by oath keepers and by real representatives. America first, always, only, and forever. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing we have coming. And please share this so that others can see exactly what happened. Drop a comment so America knows you're wide awake. You're fully aware. You're finished tolerating foreign agents. You're ready for the truth. You're ready for accountability. You're ready for America first. You're ready for loyal representatives. You're ready for oath keepers. You're ready for real democracy. You're ready for a restored republic. You're ready to fight. Somalia, First Omar has been unmasked. The foreign agent is now revealed. The betrayal is documented. The fraud is proven. 5 rounds, 5 scandals, 5 betrayals, 1 truth. She serves Somalia, not America. Somalia, always Somalia, never America. And she must go, must be removed, and must be replaced. Truth demands it. Evidence proves it. America requires it. We, the people, enforce it. Let's move. Subscribe. Share. Comment. Fight, win, America. Putting us first wins. Truth wins. Loyalty wins. The oath wins. The republic wins. We win. Let's go.